Happened with our speaker. We can't get it to get going. All right. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Start by saluting the flag. We're there. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everybody. Welcome to the December meeting. Really quick, tonight's program will be Bob McHugh's program. It is not going to be Carl's. Zoom has been acting very crazy with us lately, and we think we finally got to iron out why he keeps on sending out old programs for the new meetings. But tonight is Bob McHugh's program. And for those of you joining us on Zoom, sorry for the delay. We are having sound issues tonight with our speaker. It appears that our speaker is not working anymore, and it is brand new, so we're gonna have to send that back or do something to figure out something here. It was working beautifully before, but something happened. So anyway, is there any new members here in attendance with us tonight, or anybody joining us after a long absence? No, isn't it? Well, welcome, guys. So I'm going to start the meeting by reading the minutes for the previous meeting. Secretary Amanda Daniels. Amanda, unmute.
Hi, good evening, everybody. The October 4th meeting of the O&W Historical Society was called to order by President Joey Sinisi at 7:03 p.m. There were 22 members present and 67 online. Minutes of the last meeting were read by Secretary Amanda and were accepted as read. Membership report by Alan Held revealed that we have a grand total of 454 members, and we inducted 2 new members into our society. Treasurer report by Mark Kenna revealed that we have $3,308.32 in a checking account, $298,666.36 in the Merrill Lynch account, $328.93 in the PayPal account, for a grand total of $212,303.61. There was a special note that Dave Mazurek resigned as a trustee of the member board. Archive report by Bob Earl. Bob Earl is working on scanning bankruptcy books. This will not be on the website since it's so large, but will be available at the archives on the computer. Publications by Carl Olson. The Observer has started to be mailed out, and a good part of our calendar is done. Website and newsletter by Ron. New article by John Tavy has been posted, and 2 by Rich Palmer, which have been posted today. Next newsletter will be out either January or February of 2025. Convention news by Alan and Mark. The 2024 convention is November 9th at the Outer Kill Country Club. We need a head count by October 30th. Please mail in reservations within the next 3 weeks and send an email to Mark. Registration has been mailed out with the newsletter and available online or website. Roscoe Museum report by Joey Sinisi. There was nothing to report. 105 project by Norm Barrett. The project is moving along, and he had a good weekend of work. Norm is looking for volunteers, especially with mechanical experience. Sales table by Walter. The sales table was at Holly Train Show and made $106, and we will be at the Dunmore Train Show October 27th. Mail order sales by Ray Kelly. September sales were at $228, and he missed July sales, which ended up being $98.95. New business. If you need to use our logo for decals or making something, please send a certified mail to Joey at our P.O. box. For the good of society, cleanup crew is working on the O&WRHS restoration. A right-of-way was open on a Utica division. Current local railroad topics. The NYS&W had a wreck. The annual Toys for Tots will be operating November and December. Collector's Corner. Joey showed his plate from the 102 train. Modelers Workbench. The MNRA celebrated their 89th anniversary. Next year's convention for the MNRA is in Concord, New Hampshire in September 2025. The MNRA's next meeting is October 19th and November's meeting is November 16th and will be their last meeting of the year. Archive reprint. A lantern diagram was handed out. Sorry. The next membership meeting is December 6th at the Senior Center at 7 p.m., followed by a presentation by Bob McHugh. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Amanda. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Okay, motion to accept the minutes is read. Very good. Second. Very good. All in favor? All right. So moved. Next, treasurer's report. Mark Kavanaugh.
Good evening, everyone. As you can see on the screen, as of the end of November, the Bank of America checking account had $6,928.21. Merrill Lynch account, $187,123.32. PayPal Giving Fund, $560, for a grand total of $194,611.53. Before the end of the year, there's probably another $2,500 to $3,000 worth of bills that are going to get paid. And since we didn't get the 2024 Observer out, when that comes out, depending upon the length of it and if there's color and how many pages of color, that's going to be somewhere between $11,000 and $15,000 that will be getting spent for that. And in that $194,000, there's $26,400 worth of funds available for spending on the 105 project. And best wishes to everyone for a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And that's the report.
Okay, Mark. Thank you for that. Motion to accept the treasurer's report is read. Aye. Second. Very good. All in favor? All right. So moved. All right. Membership report. Alan?
All right. So our current membership roll is at 456 paid members. New members since October 4th. We have 7. You want me to list them out? Okay. Starting Kevin Jones of Poughkeepsie, New York. Chris Stoltzman of New Milford, Pennsylvania. Christopher Jend of Brooklyn, New York. Edward Roach of Dunmore, Pennsylvania. Stephen Rakes, returning member from Brandon, South Dakota. Timothy S. Elder from Syracuse, New York. And Thomas Kins of Otisville, New York. I'd like to make a motion to accept these new members.
Right. Second. All in favor? So moved. Welcome.
So going on for membership, we're actively working on renewals for 2025. We had a group of folks here working on the sending out all of the mail. So we've got a stack of letters of 450. You should be receiving one soon. You have 2 options for renewal. Option number 1 is by going online to OntarioExpress.org, going to the membership section, and then there's the option to basically pay on PayPal. You just go to PayPal, you make your donation for the amount, and then you'll send a follow-up email to membership@OntarioExpress.org. No stamps, no mailings, no nothing. You can join online. Essentially, all I need is your updated contact information, and I'll update the rolls to show you as a member through 2025. Option 2, of course, is check by mail. The updated address for Apinglor, who has been doing this for many, many years, has handed over the reins, so I'll handle any incoming checks for membership. My name is Alan Held, and this is my home address. So O&WRHS, care of Alan Held. I'll process everything like that. If you haven't received anything from me, that's fine. We'll send out notices in the spring if we still haven't received your renewals. So if you don't hear anything, that means that we've received it, if you've sent it. So in addition, if you've sent a renewal and you get another letter in the mail, because we are sending out the renewals now, it's just because we received your renewal before we sent out all the mailings, if that makes sense. The renewal amount, I know because Dennis had a question online. Regular membership is $45. Sustaining membership is $60. And then only also this time of year, if you're looking for a charitable organization to give to, we're actively collecting donations for the 105 project and the archives fund and things of that nature. You had a question in the audience. The fee that PayPal is charging, it is free, as we are a nonprofit organization, and it goes down as a donation as well. So you basically go to PayPal, Ontario and Western Railway Historical Society, you click donate either $45 or $60. If you want to put a memo in the donation, who it is, what it's for, and then like I said, I just need a follow-up email or some information that shows, you know, if you've updated your mailing address, your email address, anything like that. That way it stays current. So
Hey, Alan, can I just chime in for a second?
yeah, Ronnie.
Yeah, I didn't realize that I never put the renewal form on the website. So now it is on the website. If anybody happens to lose their renewal form or anything like that, they can renew online now. It is under the printable membership application, okay?
Okay. Thank you, Ronnie.
All right.
Very good.
All right. And that's all I have.
All right, awesome. Thank you for that, Alan.
Yep.
All right, moving on. Committee reports, archives, Jeff Otto or Bob Earl. Bob is with us tonight.
You gotta stand up.
Yeah,
close
come
to
on up
the,
here with the, give you a microphone.
if you stand right there, that'd be perfect.
Right here.
Yep.
So it's
You can turn around.
Yeah, you can turn it. We're having all kinds of technical problems tonight, so it's a little different.
We scanned all the annual O&W annual reports, and they're slowly being added to the, I guess Ronnie's slowly adding to the website 4 or 5 at a time. So they're all done. Thank you for Dan Meyer for filling in a few of them. And next we're doing employee timetables. And I'm about halfway through what we have for those, so that'll be the next item. Okay,
All right,
thank you.
thank you for that. Very good. Next, publications, Carl Olson.
So the good news is we just got our calendars or getting our calendars for 2025. And I want to commend Bill Schneider and Mel Hauk on doing a great job of making this calendar as real as possible, looking at O&W Steam in pure color, even though it's a prototype model, but they are excellent. What artists, and we're very blessed to have them. And it's a great calendar. And the second thing is that Mal is still working on the W-Class Observer, and it is, he's exploring, not only is it just on W-Class, but it's on 280s from O&W history, from way back, all the way up to how the W-Class evolved. So it's going to be a really cool, well, thank you very much.
There was a question online, and maybe Ronnie or Mark might know the answer to this. So
Thank you.
is there some way to get a donation receipt if somebody has like for the tax exempt status or for like a company match for if their corporation does gift matches or something like that?
Mark, if they would like a receipt, they can email us, and yes, Ryan, it would be what, Mark Kennard at OntarioExpress.org.
Yes.
And then I can,
Yep.
if an email will be sufficient, I can put it in an email. If they need something in a letter format, physically mailed, just let me know.
Will PayPal generate some kind of receipt too?
Well, PayPal will just, it'll just show up on their statement as a transaction going to the O&W Historical Society. But I don't know that if that would be sufficient for support for a tax deduction.
We are a 501c3 organization.
C3, yeah.
Yes, yes.
So if they want a letter, they, like I say, email me at that address, mark@ontarioexpress.org. Otherwise, they probably should be good to go, because usually.
I did put that in the chat, so.
Yeah, I just saw it. Thank you.
Yep, and you don't have to do a $45 if you want to make it an even 50, and then the 5 go to a general fund. Just make that note and whatever, whether it's the check, the renewal form, or on PayPal. So thank you.
All right, so next is website and newsletter, both Ronnie Vasallo.
Hi, everybody. Happy December, and I hope you all have a great Christmas and a happy New Year. And let's see what we got. Last night I posted an article by Richard Palmer entitled Early Chief Engineers of the Midland, Part 2, William B. Gilbert. So that's up there. Bob Earl scanned all of the annual reports of the O&W from 1880 to 1955. And I believe I have somewhere in the I have from 1880 somewhere to, I believe, the mid-teens. I might be wrong, but I do have quite a few of them up already. So you can go to the website and find them. There's a plethora of information that can be gotten from those annual reports. And a lot of our authors rely on those annual reports for information for the observers. So it's definitely worth checking out. And just a little side note, Joey and Alan, I already emailed the company with the speakerphone and told them it's not working. So I'm hoping to get a reply from them shortly.
Yeah, the speaker aspect of it was coming out. I mean, if I put my ear to it, like you can barely hear it, very garbled, but
yeah,
it's fine. We're making do.
Yeah, no, I sent them an email already, and hopefully they'll either get it for us or replace it.
Speaker and everybody can hear perfectly fine, but
Yeah.
something happened, so we'll get it taken care of.
Okay.
All right, Ronnie, thank you for that. So
Okay.
next is convention. Would you like me to speak about it?
Yeah.
Convention? Oh, what about the?
Yeah, or
Okay, all
Ron
right.
can speak, or whoever wants to speak, but
I'll speak on behalf of the this year's convention, and you could talk about next year's, you and Ronnie and whatnot. So this year's convention was absolutely spectacular. It was probably one of the best conventions we've ever had. The venue did a lot of remodeling, and they have a whole separate room now in the back. And it's completely soundproof. It's got glass doors. It goes completely separated from the actual where we actually have the venue. So you can stay in there and talk if you want. It's they had black curtains there to block out the sun. So the sound was perfect. And I think the best part of this year's convention, I think everybody can vouch for this, was the food. The food was probably the best food we've ever had. To the point where people were going up for like their thirds and fourth plates, especially when I brought out the short rib, which melted literally right off the bone. I actually gave our compliments to the chef. I met him. I went to the back and thanked him and told him how fantastic it was. And the good thing about the convention, being it was such a success this year, but next year, just like we promised, we do have the convention in September.
and it's been reserved.
And it's been reserved, so we got it. So next year's
September
convention
20
will be held. What's that, Ronnie?
September 21st.
Yep, it's September 21st. So
And-
we're back into the nice little.
I'm
bit of,
sorry. Hold on
what-
one second.
Is it the
Mark-
21st?
Is it? Yeah, it's the
But it's going to be on a
21st.
Sunday. That's
Yes,
that's
it's gonna be on a
Yes, the
Sunday,
21st.
yes.
The only thing is, it's
Okay,
gonna be
I
on
do
a
have the
Sunday.
right date. Yes, the
We couldn't get
21st.
Saturday. They were all booked up for that, but we got it in September. So we're looking very, very forward to that. Warmer weather and lighter driving hours.
Did you want to talk about the member of the year?
Yes, Ronnie, member of the year. So can you get that plaque up there?
It is.
So this year's member of the year award went to Ken Haneke. for all his spectacular articles and books and everything that he has done over the years for this historical society. And we were very proud to award Kenny with the Member of the Year award. So
Yes.
congratulations to Ken Haneke. What a wonderful job you've done for us. We are very, very thankful. We continue to look forward to all the great things that you could still do for this organization going forward. So
32 articles he's done for the
Thir-
website.
32 articles he has done for the website. Yeah, it's really, really a great thing. Well deserved. Absolutely well deserved. So, all right, moving on. Roscoe Museum, I have nothing to report on the Roscoe Museum. I haven't heard anything. I haven't spoken to Charlie. Very, very difficult to get a hold of him, being that he's up in the middle of nowhere with limited cell service or phone service. So they're gonna leave that at large for now until I find something. Facebook is still, we still get members, it's still growing, doing very well on Facebook. Next, we're gonna have Project 105 report from Norman Barrett.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me all right, Joe?
I can hear you fine. Yeah, I'm just turning the
Okay,
computer
good.
over so the members can hear you a little bit here in live audience. Go ahead,
All right,
Norm.
very good. All right, well, I'll speak up a little bit more, but excuse me. We had a work session after our last meeting, and we had one of our new members that just joined, came down and worked with us and was an excellent worker. Dug right in with both feet and both hands, so it was much appreciated the help we had that day. And we did accomplish a lot of dirty work. And since then, I've made myself and one other local guy came together for one task. And then I came out on my own for another task that we really didn't need a lot of people. It was tight quarters and tight working area. So we did make some preparations. And from then on, we've kind of paused the project because Steamtown was rearranging the equipment in the shop for both their purposes and the Anthracite Railway Group purposes. And actually, our engine got pushed back in the shop in a better position now for us to work on. We have a little bit more room around it to work on it. I can report that I might have done this already, but the lumber that was donated to me, we had the carpenter shop at Steamtown. They worked with us to cut wood strips for the nailing of the flooring. And we were able to router the edge to fit into the channel properly. And then they were all treated with preservative. The next move, which is a little bit of dirty work, is that we have to really get the cab floor and between the two prime movers really cleaned out good. And because of the tightness of it, we've gotten what we could out with brushes and scrapers, but the shop said, look, why don't you just use the air gun? He says, you can blow the stuff over to a certain side of the shop there. What we'll do is we'll open up the access doors, put a piece of sheet plastic over and fasten it on 3 sides so the dirt will hit that and drop to the ground. But we should get 99% of the dirt out of the crevices and all the other areas where it's really built up for years. And once that's done, then we can get the metal framing for the floor can be all primed and then finished painted. And after that's done, then we'll fit and fasten down the wood nailing strips. And that'll be a good part of the project accomplished. And then after that, we can notify the flooring guy and we can probably get the flooring put in. So I also am doing some research on some parts that we need, looking for sources for them. And I think I've gotten some of that pretty close to being solved. So like I said, once the holidays are over, we'll reschedule some work sessions and we'll get back to work on it with both hands and both feet, hopefully. And as I mentioned, I think last time was the last trip that Pat Stapleton was up with his helper and worked on it. He's very confident with enough volunteer work and with his work, we probably could get the engine, maybe both of the engines turned over and running this coming year. So, and that will be a major undertaking. So, excuse me. He also notified me he was able to find, if you're looking at the picture that's on the screen, you see the headlight. That's the original headlight. And bulbs for those are very hard to find, but he found a source of them and was able to do some bartering, and he's got quite a few of them going to be on hand for us for replacements. So that's pretty cool that we don't have to put a modern headlight in it just to have the proper bulbs. So the one thing
Lasts longer than a modern one.
oh, absolutely, they're not made in China for one thing, excuse me, but it's a fact. But like I said, I think the project has moved along fairly well this year, considering all the setbacks we had with the pandemic and with work schedules and everything else. We've made a lot of progress. It's not visible, but we know what's been done. And like I said, it's going to take off. Hopefully, come January, February, we'll get really into it again.
All right, Norman. Well, thank you for the report, Norman.
You're welcome.
Good to hear.
Mhm.
All right. Next, sales table, Walter Krasowski. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Good evening, all. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all our members. Okay. The Dunmore show, we took in $75. At the convention, we took in $601 at the door. The sales table did $367, and we picked up 2 memberships for a total of $1,088.
Wow, that's excellent. Excellent. Beautiful. Okay, moving along, mail order sales, Ray Kelly. Ray Kelly had to temporarily step away from mail order sales. So what we've been doing is I've been going to the post office and getting the mail, bringing it back to the archives and letting Bob Earl sift through it. And he's working with Alan and getting this stuff out to the membership. Ray Kelly had some personal issues with his mother's. I believe she's not doing too well, so he's had to step back from mail order sales. So just I go to the post office once to try to get there at least once a week, twice a week after work, because I only work right down the road. But there's a lot of times where I work late. By the time I get out, the post office is closed. So I'm doing my best to get the get the mail and get this taken care of. So just work with us for a little while. But we are being taken care of. So I moving on. Any old business? What's that?
So
Okay.
Syracuse Train Show 2024. I think it's been since our last meeting since that happens. I think it was
Yeah,
November,
that's right.
early November. So thank you, Mike Noble, for the photos. But the O&W Historical Society was a sponsor of this event this year.
Yes.
So
Big time.
and big thanks to Mike. So,
Yes, big thank you to Michael Noble for getting us that sponsor. He's going to get us a sponsor for next year. And the show was extremely well attended. Hundreds and hundreds of people, probably thousands, maybe a few thousand. We had our table right up there with our society banner in the front. There were several other vendors there that had. I know one. I think it's Junior Junction. He's a train guy. He actually has an O&W engine for his business flyer. And Mike ran out. He handed out so many membership forms. He ran out actually. So it's a very great thing that he did for us to make us a sponsor of that huge train show in Syracuse, and he's going to be taking it again. What's that?
Dennis was asking about any new.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get to that here shortly.
That old business or new? Business?
Well, no, it's going to be for local railroad topics.
Okay.
Anyway, moving on. Any new business?
Yeah.
Yes, well, that's going to be the next thing, for the good of the society. So we got a couple of things here. So first, I'm going to hold off on this as the second item. I want to share a little something from our great member and expert model railroader, Bill Schneider. And this is from Rapido Trains, and I'm going to read this to you. It reads, Rapido Trains Incorporated is pleased to support the efforts of the Ontario and Western Railway Historical Society's restoration efforts of 44-tonner number 105. As part of this support, Rapido announced that it will donate 5% of the sales of all O&W 44-tonner models to the Ontario and Western Railway Historical Society to be used in this restoration effort. We are excited to announce that modelers and O&W fans have stepped up and that Rapido will be donating the sum of $2,500 towards the 105 restoration project. We wish the Ontario and Western Railroad Historical Society and its volunteers success in this Woolworth effort, and along with many other fans, look forward to the return of number 105 to service. Sincerely, Jason Shrun, President, Rapido Trains Incorporated. So that is a really great thing. Bill Schneider, we say thank you. Absolutely. That is wonderful. And I got to write them a thank you letter. But that is just a sweet thing. And if you haven't seen if you're an HO scale modeler, and we'll get to that in Modeler's Workbench, we'll talk about that briefly. I suggest you put your order because it's a beautiful model and they're selling like hotcakes. So the next thing for current local railroad topics, as some of you had seen probably my video and whatnot at the convention, Danny Myers owns several O&W steam whistles from steam locomotives. This is a Nason 3 chime off of an O&W steam locomotive. This whistle was given on loan from Dan Myers to Norman and Steamtown and will be mounted on the steam engine at Steamtown number 26. And it was going to be the first time in 77 years that the Lackawanna Valley will hear the voice of an O&W steam engine. So this is a very special thing, so special that Alan and myself think that this would be the perfect opportunity to have a steam excursion from Steamtown to Carbondale with that whistle being blown. And we would like to, we definitely feel that the O&W Society should be part of this historical event. So please bear with us, but we are just in the talking and planning stages, but we would like to see an excursion possibly in May. From Steamtown to Scranton, maybe a couple little festivities, maybe a couple stops along the Rhine, some photo run-bys. But this is, we just literally put this together, just not even a few nights ago, actually, we were talking about this. And we will keep you posted about, what do you call it? The updates and or whatnot.
And it's been quite a long time since we've had an excursion, isn't that right?
It's been a very long time. I think the last excursion we had was the Ulster and Delaware dinner train, which was great. But I think this is going to be even special because, and you know, I mean, the voice of how many times have you ever heard an O&W steam whistle? You know, so this is really going to be exciting. And, you know, I'm hoping to get some really good recordings of it. I would like to try to get some whistle signals and you know, recordings so we can get them programmed at some HO scale locomotives through decoders. So that'll be really, really special. So we look forward to this. And we got to be a big thank you to Danny Myers for this.
Any more for the good of the society?
Yes, for the good of the society. We also have the Middletown station, as the gentleman was just asking. I haven't seen anything going on outside of it yet, except for they did cut out a portion of the overhang for the platform, and it looks like they cut out because that's the part we're sagging and pretty much ready to collapse. Looks like they cut that section out because that has to get rebuilt. Anything that they can salvage has to get rebuilt to the way it was as a historical, you know, aspect part of it. But they're still going through it, doing all the demolition work on the inside, getting all the garbage out, hazmat, mold, mildew, you know, all that stuff. So it's when I spoke to the city and the mayor in March, he was hoping that you know, the actual construction can start in probably 11 months. So probably I would say sometime in the spring, as soon as the weather starts to break, we might start to see some actual construction start happening. I know they have all the scaffolding on site and it's all stacked up, ready to go and whatnot, but I try to go by the station when I can. Again, I only work up not that far up the road, so but it's happening. It's happening. So it's just not as happening as what we would like, but you know, it's happening, which is more than what was there before. So
That was last time.
and this was the last time. This is the O&W steam engine that was built in the Middletown shops as a model in 1909, and we were able to they came forward. Blake Tater came forward, said he was a guy that has it, and the society was able to acquire this model. And it needs to be cleaned. It's a little dusty, but it was built again by the O&W. The detail of this thing is incredible. It's just absolutely amazing. It's very, very large. And it was on display in the Middletown station from about 1909 to 1938. So we get into this station for as a permanent home. We would try to get that on display in there, and we'd like to try to get it to the next year's convention and whatnot. It's just like we need to get some transportation because it is pretty large. It barely just fit in my car, just you know, alone. So it's actually sitting in my garage, my workbench, taking up half my workbench. But yeah, so we would like to try to get some kind of a case for it, you know, so we can put it in like in a thing there. But so did you have anything?
Yeah, I was gonna say current local railroad topics. So locally here, I know Rudy and Operation Toy Train have been running. I can't tell you how many toy trains or toy the Toys for Tots trains, but locally in our region, Saturday, December 14th, so not this Saturday, but the next one, we'll be running the train over the Susquehanna between Rochelle Park and basically Vernon and Warwick. So a lot of the former New Jersey Midland territory. And then on Sunday, December 15th, the Middletown, New Jersey will be running their portion from Warwick up through Sugarloaf, Campbell Hall, Montgomery, and then out to Middletown and Port Jervis. So really good way of, you know, bringing trains to the community, collecting toys for those, for the needy. And if you haven't taken the time to go out there and donate toys, this is a really good opportunity to, you know, meet some of the actual railroaders, but also a lot of these volunteers who do so much great work. So any other? Yeah, I mean, it won't come quite to any of the O&W portions of Middletown, but it'll go past the Graham line and the Middletown Metro North Station. There's a stop there. Yep, and Campbell Hall. So if you go to the website, they have a full list of all the schedules. Santa Claus will be there. And I think the Marines usually help out on the Susquehanna Toys for Tots train. So. Any other? Oh, I do have a somewhat of a current local railroad topic. I drive a lot between where I live in Warwick and Cooperstown and Binghamton and Cortland and all these other places for work. And one of these local radio stations, I think it's WSUL for Sullivan County. I was driving one day and I heard a radio commercial for the Sullivan O&W rail trails. So they actually have a radio commercial out there for the former O&W rail bed through towns like, trying to think where they have the rail bed.
Well, that would be like
Mountain
Liberty, right? No,
not Liberty, Mountaindale.
Oh, up that one.
Yeah, through Mountaindale, through Woodburn.
Yeah.
So a lot of the trails, and they actually had a radio commercial for it. So good on Sullivan County for advertising that. O&WRHS, thank you. I'm sorry, Dennis. Yeah, and they do have some historic markers along the trail, and potentially that's something that we'd look to sponsor.
Yeah, we're talking about like getting a QR code at some of these locations to where they could scan it with your phone, and that would take you to our website to a section that tells you all about what was once there, pictures, diagrams, track maps, you know, anything like that. So that would really be really something that we would like to work with the trails about, even the new trails that they're planning on building on the Kingston section and even the Port Jervis section.
Sean?
Within the Sullivan County Democrat today, it's the Hurleyville Performing Arts Center, now the owner of the Hurleyville Station.
Oh, really?
Renovating it and using it for the,
Really?
for their.
Well, at least it's
What they do, like, conventions.
well, at least
They're
it'll be
turning the
used.
Hurleyville station into a performing arts center.
Newburgh. Oh, that's good. At least it's not being torn down. That's good. That's good. At least it's going to good use. That's great. Has any other current local railroad topics? All right, moving on. Collector's Corner. Anybody have anything? Because I don't have anything. Like, what do you got in there? Oh, yeah. Works.
That's pretty small.
So judging by how small this is, we're probably like what, 56-pound rail, maybe? Something more than that. This could even be from the Port Jervis and Monticello years. It's small then. Wow. I can't believe how small that is. That's gotta be from the Port Jervis. I would say, because I mean, that rail was light. They only had a couple of little, what's that? Well, no, Wardsboro on the Port Jervis. The Port Jervis branch. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, this is probably like actual Port Jervis and Monticello instead of even Port Jervis, Monticello, New York. Like 1880. You know, this is really, really small. Thanks a lot. I very appreciate it. Don't I much fun.
What are we doing with these? Anybody want to spike here today? I will have it at the front. Look at how small that is.
what we're saying about this possibly even being the predecessor. Oh. Okay. That's pretty cool.
The other thing I was gonna say for Modeler's Workbench is that I just want to put a plug in there, Junior Junction, that helped us sponsor that show in Syracuse. There's a train, they've also sponsored this O-scale Lionel model of a Class Y1A Mountain, and it's actually, you know, in terms of generic trains, I know a lot of times they'll just make the same locomotive and plaster a different road name on it and stuff like that. He actually did a real nice job of modeling this after an O&W with the headlight and everything.
Yes,
So-
we did a pretty good job on that.
So it's not available yet, but I think they're taking pre-orders and sometime in the next year. So I don't know. More expensive than the box spikes though, that's for sure.
Actually, going back to Collector's Corner, I do have something. I just don't have any photos yet. This past weekend, I actually purchased the Watchman shanty from Fish's Eddie. I gotta move it on a truck to my house, but it's been restored. It's actually in original O&W colors. They had some work to the roof.
We'll bring it to the meeting.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna load on a flatbed trailer out there in the parking lot. Hey, come outside, look at this. But yeah, it's from Fish's Eddie. I just gotta find out. There was wainscoting on the inside of it. There's no wainscoting now. There's only a couple of pieces in there, but the stovepipe is still inside of it. Of course, that needs to be replaced, and the stove that's in there is not original. So I'm trying to figure out exactly what kind of stoves were in those types of shanties. So I did reach out to Mal with an email. He hasn't gotten back to me. I think he'd probably be the best person. He's quite knowledgeable about the. What's that? Yes, yeah, he had it in his property. Yeah. So and then I bought it from him.
Can he fit a DeLorean inside of it?
Yeah, who said that? Eric P. Yeah. Can I fit a DeLorean inside of it? And I use a DeLorean to go back to it. No. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. So I'll get some pictures of when I get that dinner and go through a little progress on the interior. So here's some things coming up for upcoming events. January 3rd, membership meeting from the O&W membership meeting. The anthracite branches by Bob Earl and Walter Krzyzewski. These are the anthracite branches that off the Scranton Division main line.
And some of the breakers.
And so, yes, and some of the breakers. And then February is a program for the LNHR in Orange County by Alan Held. Friday, March 7th, the membership meeting from Kadoja by Bob Earl. So these are all pretty much the membership meetings. I know we have the Big E in there coming up in January, isn't it?
January, the last Saturday and Sunday in January will be the Big E train show in Springfield. And for those of you who have never been to one of that show before, it's not even a train show. It's like a train happening. It's enormous.
I've yet to go to that show. And like, yeah, I know all these years I haven't gone yet, but I'm gonna try to go this year. So I gotta try.
A lot of props to Ron Vassallo for putting together the slate of upcoming meetings. We've got basically membership programs all the way through to June now, I think.
Yeah, and we're gonna have a lot more. There's so many other things that we can do. So if any of you have a program, though anybody has a program, feel free to reach out to us. But we have quite a few that are gonna be coming up even in the fall. So we're doing very well.
And last year we did a walk along the O&W right of way, and at the end of March to commemorate the anniversary of the ending of the O&W. Probably like to do something like that again this upcoming year. So
yeah,
reach out to me, or we'll collectively come up with a plan for that. And then Joe Myers was saying that the shanty at Livingston Manor had a potbelly stove, burned coal, and he got there was a bin inside that shanty. So
nice.
Just to close the loop on O&W crossing shanties.
Yeah, I see that.
Hey guys,
Yes.
Friday, April 4th, Joey Sidis is going to be doing a program on the Port Jervis, Monticello, and Kingston branches then and now. And then on Friday, May 2nd, Joey's going to be doing part 2 of the Port Jervis, Monticello, and Kingston branches. And then we have a special guest that's going to be doing the June program, and that's going to be John Conway, the Sullivan County historian. I'm just waiting for him to get to me on what topic he's going to be doing it on. I have a feeling it's going to be on the Borscht Belt and its connection to the O&W, but he will be doing that via Zoom. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. And I will get a flyer out to everyone once that is solidified.
All right, Ronnie. Well, thank you very much for that. Okay, so really quick.
From the archives?
From the archives. So the archives reprint is up here from the archives. What do we got there?
Bob?
A train order?
Strip from Middletown to Summitville, at 805 South. And we ran across two of these, 44 tonner and an NW2. We think that there may be two trains that they were dispatched out of Middletown. Go to Somerville, split up, one going to Kingston and one going.
Didn't say how many cars were on it, what did they? It might have
That would have
been,
been pretty cool to see a 44 tonner double heading with an NW.
What they might have- were they MU capable? Could they have,
I don't think they were MU capable.
you know what it might have been? Maybe it was a light locomotive move. They were coming out of the shops at Middletown. Getting back to their new assignment out of Summitville.
That's possible.
Could have been that.
Anyway. Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, so
I don't know.
the next membership meeting will be held on Friday, January 3rd at 7 p.m. right here in the senior center, and hopefully we will have our speaker back and our so we can go back to normal with our microphones and whatnot, so it'll be easier for everybody. Again, we apologize for that. Anyway, once again, tonight's program is going to be McHugh on the Erie Railroad's Newburgh branches in the Schunnemunk Trail. So, motion to adjourn the meeting. Okay,
Motion.
second. Motion, all in
Second.
favor? Aye,
Aye.
all right. Have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, a Happy Hanukkah, and enjoy yourselves with your families.
It's currently 7:58. Let's tentatively plan on 8:10. 8:10 start. I'll put it in the chat.
Fine, we'll skip the video.
Don't mind.
All right. Assume everybody can hear us. Oops. All right.
Bob, here's your maps.
You want to grab everybody,
Okay.
bring back in?
All right.
Nope, you talk right into the.
Just talking to the computer?
Yeah.
You
Hey, Ronnie, can you hear us okay, or Norm?
Can you hear us, Ron?
Dennis says yes, so I would assume that.
Ready.
You got 75 people online right now.
I can hear you.
All right, Bob. So a little bit of an introduction for those of you who don't know him. This is our presenter today is Mr. Bob McHugh. He's a local rail historian, aficionado of the Erie Railroad's Newburgh branch, actually branches, and native of, are you Washingtonville, New York?
Oh,
Caldwell, okay. So, all right, Bob,
we
it's your
ready to
show.
go?
Yep.
Good evening, everyone. Well, I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Want to thank everybody for coming tonight, and I want to give a special shout out to Doug Barbario, who he couldn't make it tonight. We're on the same time as the Army game, which I completely understand because if I was raised root for three teams, Army, Notre Dame, where it plays against Navy. So with that, welcome. Our first picture is Washingtonville at one of the 5 branch crossings over the moon. This was a 2022.
Hold on a second.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but it's not displaying your. I gotta change your screen share real quick.
Okay.
Be all good now.
Good?
Yep.
Okay. This was a 2022 Metro Trails hike. Look at that bridge. What can go wrong, right? Okay. Going, sick. There we go. We start out in Craigville. Milepost 3 on the Newburgh branch, but Bob Collins took this one on the LNHR. 53's westbound, 53 cars westbound by an 81 on December. He took this picture. He had no way of knowing the Pearl Harbor Halt was breaking loose.
That's tomorrow, December
Yep,
7th.
Yep. Okay, here's a well-known shot of O&W 452 on the it's River in Craigville. It's Saturday, May 30th, Memorial Day. The O&W doing a detour because of on the LR doing flood damage on the Scranton branch. And thank you, Eric Baselli, for doing a beautiful job of colorizing this photo. Okay. I figured if I throw this unused postcard, locomotives, the LNHR, commemoration of 100 years of railroad progress on Ed Chris collection. Now, Erie's Craigville Station, J.E. Bailey photo. Bailey was hired by the Erie 1908, 1909 to photograph all their stations. This is the whole list of Newburgh branch call telegraph letters, and Craigville with CV. Boy, Salisbury Mills just got a U. Okay, Craigville Station site off Hardscrabble Road. Lock signal came off in 1919. The siding came out in 27, and the station in 36 for the end of pasture service. From the 20s on, you see that the list of retired equipment build up pretty quick.
It looks like an Erie 260 or 460.
That's a good question. Okay, Dennis Carpenter's photo of the Craigville Hardscrabble Road crossing. Dennis was third generation Erie. There's Hardscrabble Road 91. The rails are still on the road today. They just paved over them. They never took them out. And on the opposite end of the line, Newburgh, and the D&H car still on the Newburgh branch. Myron Lumber in Newburgh was an Erie Conrail customer. Today, the Motorcyclopedia Museum, say that 3 times fast, houses its collection there. In 2015, purchased D&H car 35245 for 30-seat theater. One of 2 cars in the collection in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. How often you get to see inside of a D&H boxcar? Yeah. It's also in the collection. A 1913 Excelsior converted into a Velocipede was converted from the original 1913 motorcycle that Charles Lindbergh traded for a Jenny airplane in 1923.
This is in Newburgh.
Yep. The Motorcyclopedia. You gotta go check it out. And Joey, this one's for you. A red Pulse, a model of which did a cameo on Back to the Future. Okay. Now, Conrail 1605 crossing 32 on the old DuPont spur. Heights Lumber's on the left. Myron's on the left. Heights Lumber in the background. Both Erie customers. Myron was pretty sure was one of the last customers on this side of 32. And this photo would have to be after 1979 because, oh, by the way, remind me later, I could tell you what Heights Lumber and the O&W have in common. So this would have to be after 1979 because a month-old 1605 sits outside the Lizardport shops in August of 79. It seems like the Conrail used the Newburgh branch for a lot of breaking of new equipment. Notice the date. Opening ceremonies for Newburgh branch were December 8th, 1850. EL 1224 would make EL 24 would make the final run between Valesgate and Gray Court on December 28, 77. The rails removed late 83, early 84. The Erie Main came within a year after. I describe my connection with Erie and the Newburgh branch in 2 ways. So my first train at Valesgate when I was 5, and I call myself part of the railbed generation. A couple of those years between the rails were coming up and the rails of trails, we know, are just starting to take hold. Howard Ketz photo, Chester, June of 84. The westbound main is still intact. Milepost designation of 54.5 on the near corner is still mileage from Jersey City. There's 91. There's the condition Erie, Maine off Hamilton Avenue. That's by the school now. And on the right is there is Trail Knoxville Depot. When you go out there when the frost is real bad, it shows rails still buried in the grade. Allen Hill's Eagle Marker Declaration at Chester, the trail markers Eagle Scout Project. I'll give you.
No, thank you. It was 2012.
Outside of
yeah.
Great Court, Allen at 2012 hike. The locals maintain a mile of roadbed. How's it possible? That was 12 years ago?
Yeah, we walked the entire branch.
Yeah,
pretty
we
much.
did. Ever use a stump for a selfie stick? That's Washington, that's Salisbury Mills behind, that's behind, milepost 9 behind Weir's Ice Cream. Okay.
Were there any other Erie branches that used, everybody was off of Jersey City milepost, but for whatever
Yeah.
reason, the Newburgh branch was. from
Use
Great
only
Court.
Great Court.
I can't think of, were there any other Newburgh or Erie branches that had that same?
I have a picture at home. I gotta dig it out. Apparently, the line from Montgomery, there was a milepost out there. I swear to it said G1 just outside of Goshen, but that's been plowed over now.
Okay. Yeah, you might be right. The Montgomery branch might have done the same thing to Goshen.
Washington A179, it survived the fire in 93, but was torn down a few years after. The freight house was gone by 85. Oh, not get out of there. What I do. There's Route 28 in June of 74. Cooper Brothers Grain and Feeds 2821. Who remembers 4-digit numbers? Now, 208 in the 70s. Switching had to be done very carefully. If you did, you set off Agway's burger alarm. Now, there's 208 in 1981. The rails are still under all that. The Watchman's Shack was taken to town garage, hopes we at Restoration Station. That shack sat there about 10, 12 years ago, and they finally removed what was left of it. There's the station interior, early 90s. This is getting towards the end. Mr. McLaughlin restored an antique shop out of it for many years. And there's the agent's desk. In 85, this was once 2 tracks, one being a long past the sign all the way down to the movement trestle. In 1973, when I say third bridge, I'm counting from Salisbury Mill towards Great Court. So this is the third, they called the 1871 bridge. Pintrust construction and built to the Erie's original 6-foot gauge. Now, a pole that was used by both the Graham Line and the Newburgh branch. This is 2024. While I'm out in the woods getting in the cold, we're getting a picture of a pole. April 1958 rail fan trip and the pole in the background that I just mentioned. 1941, the viaduct to the right, Larry Goldberg collection. Conroy, let's probably around 1990 or so. Stone Culverts, Vales Gate, Meadowbrook, Salisbury Mills, Craigville, still doing their job after 174 plus years. Jackson Avenue Bridge, Salisbury Mills, milepost 11. In 85, Erie name was Selenia Butman, and this was taken that long after. Some stones wound up the town garage on 32.
That's the only bridge on the entire line that's been taken out.
Yeah, everything else intact. And they had, I remember the news article, they had to bring special equipment, and they had, to credit to the stonemason, they had one heck of a time getting those abutments apart. There's a couple of Russ Halleck's film clips, Jackson Avenue and Salisbury Mills, home movie clips. School buses just cleared that bridge. Ask any kid in school back the time who had took the bus off Jackson Avenue. And that's how I remember the trains when I was at Salisbury. That's as I remember my first train on the line. Now, 2011, this must have been a hot day. Newburgh Branch, future Schunnemunk Trail, Salisbury Mills. Blooming Grove, Tut Hill Road crossing, and the site of Sheffield's Creamery. And notice the tree to the right. Blooming Grove, the Creamery in 82. That track car, that we'll be seeing that track car again.
Is that the same tree next to the?
Same tree. They knocked the building down, but didn't take out the tree.
Huh.
Blooming Grove, award-winning cattle and bottled milk. Before the railroads, what passes milk in the city was called swill milk. Cows living in abominable conditions and fed what was left over from the breweries. The infant mortality rate was almost on a par with some of the casualty rates of the Civil War battles. It's absolutely appalling. First milk shipped to Chester, that is Selleck, huckster or visionary. This is the sign at the 1950 Chester station. Selleck seems to know where there's money to be made. He was a contractor for construction Erie to Chester. He was in charge of sinking all the pilings into the ground to make a solid roadbed in the black dirt. But there were so many piles that it nearly put him and Erie both into bankruptcy. Well, he was appointed Erie Chester Station, first Chester Station as compensation. Then Selleck and Philo Gregory, only farm, responded to Selleck's first proposal, organized a shipment of 240 quarts of milk by the Erie Railroad. Then a farmer from Goshen named Jacob Fail would figure out how to extend the life of the milk in the warmer weather by cooling it to a lead coil, packed in ice, and packed wood jets lined with lead. What can go wrong? By the eve of the Civil War, milk was 3/5 of Erie's freight revenue. When Al Capone was looking to expand his rackets, he's looked up the markup milk and said, boys, we've been in the wrong business. Now there's Washingtonville Borden's Creamery. I watched that man take that chimney down, up on the ladder, chip off a brick, drop it. That building there, your school bus parking. Now, to pick up milk at Borden's, the crew went down. There's a third of a mile between Washingtonville and Borden's, just to set the stage. 2 in between them. To pick up the milk cars at Borden, the crew would uncouple from the train at the station, run the engine up, and pull the cars out of the Borden side. The cars would be switched on the fly to cross the 94 with a brake would hold with a handbrake. Once the engine was switching the siding, the brake would roll the cars down. The engine would come behind them. They'd put the train together and head for Graycourt. By timetable, they had 3 minutes to do that. And there's at least one incident Dennis Carton recalls, at one point a bad handbrake, where the brakeman couldn't hold the cars. The engine managed to keep it from crashing the train, but it derailed the engine and everything, all the milk cars. Ski trains at Schunnemunk Mountain. The name Schunnemunk means second fireplace in Lenape. The Lenape Indians had a camp on the north side of the mountain. There's new hiking trails going in along the trestle. On the Grand Line of Schunnemunk, Larry Goldberg's collection. That's me. Sawmill ski trains. The Norseman ski slope on Schunnemunk opened in 1929 and stay used into the 50s. He ran ski train specials for Salt right up to the start of the Second World War. There's a base of ski slope out of Kill in 2024. There it is in 1941. Larry, his father, had the guys do a second pose for that picture. Jump into the ski jump today. It's about 150 feet up. You really can't see it from the road. And then look what it looked back then. You don't realize how steep that grade is till somebody is dumb enough to try and make your way down the side of the mountain. I'm not mentioning no names. 2 or 3 world-class skiers in Norseman's Club. Jay Rand, 19 years old, received a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart for his action in Normandy and the Battle of Bulge. Harold Sorensen, 33 years old, serves as ski trainer for the Allied force in Italy. Torger Torkel was called the Babe Ruth of the ski jumpers. He was killed in Italy in 1945. He was 45. Junction points and Bailey photos from the Steamtown archives. That's where those collections are housed now. Hancock. That's Hancock, France. Crates for Carbondale. And Suffern. We will wire your house for $42.50. Yeah, I know. Does that look familiar, Alan?
Bell Brewery was a big brewery in Carbondale.
I was hoping you'd know the name, Joey. A close-up of the signal mech used on the branch into the 30s. After the thirties, once passenger service was gone, the local just became priority traffic. So it basically had the run of the line, which to the dismay of many conductors, realized when the train crews was a place to grab a cup of coffee and just sit for a few minutes. Now with Great Court, 1903 Mules Atlas. Those asterisks are what survived today. The junction Great Court Meadows did not come as own to a station until the opening of Fort Valley Road in the early 1860s. Before this, the wide connected branch it remained was East Junction, West Junction, Newburgh Branch went to New York City, Chester, or Middletown. Great Court, Ed's Chris Valmax. GP Tower comes off in 26, the Freight House in 24. The retirement list goes from 1920s on. There's GB Tower left center from the Warwick Historical Society. The only picture apparently anyone's ever gotten of the tower. I guess
There's a couple of them.
There's
There's
a couple.
some taken from the bridge, but this is Warwick Valley Railroad looking into that interchange yard station on the left, and then the Great Court Hotel is on the right.
I was going to say was one that was on H&R side.
Yeah, that's on the O&WRHS side. The Erie side would have been 3 tracks at that point, but you're directly underneath the bridge, or just past it.
From Frenchie Falcone's collection, the original L&HR bridge.
I think that was replaced in 1905.
Now, here's something interesting. I didn't know. If you look behind that upright for the trestle, the Freight House is behind it.
Yes.
Now, I'll show you something later. Nature is starting to get the upper hand. Come now, Graker, Hudson Junction, the Stellwagen photo. Now, I think you said you interviewed him. One of the houses to the left was the home of John Fratto, the Warwick section foreman. His homemade red wine was known as Sneaky Pete, 20% alcohol. It said you didn't want to take more than one sip of that. There's the Great Court Station, Great Court Hotel. On the L&HR side, station extensions come off at 37 with the end of passenger service. There's the Great Court Freight House. Now, a postcard view. Now, 2 things. You notice it looks like on this side on this postcard, I think the Freight House was moved. Looks like the Freight House on this side.
It was that Freight House. There's a little bit of a notch, because if you go underneath that abutment there's like a mound that follows alongside the tracks, but there's one spot on the mound where there's like a notch.
Yeah,
that's
they
right where
sat on
that's
top of
where
that, right?
And yeah, there's one picture that I have that's taken from the bridge looking in this direction towards Chester, and it's clearly on that side of the bridge. So it's sort of an optical illusion here because it's a postcard, but it is on the far side of that
bridge. Okay.
bridge.
Yeah, I can never quite, I know. And I would notice the roof of that passenger car to the left. Warwick, April 1920. This is actually April 20th, 1920, which is my birthday, but I did not take that picture. 2014 Warwick, the Toys of Hot Trains with conductor Walter Kierskowski. Now, July 8th, 39, the last scheduled L&HR passenger train, a cruiser pours in front of 63 at Great Court. Thank you, Alan, for this one. Now, 63 at Burnside with a 6-car work train, October 19th, 1946, one of Donald Furler's photo. I was looking a little ragged by this point. I think that must have been near the end. I could see the O&W is already single track. The court station last year's. I never did find out from Dennis if this was torn down or burned down. A Brill motor car at Great Court in 36. The Erie used gas powered motor cars last year as a passenger. This may be the one that was making the last trips for grade cross and actually ruptured his fuel tank. That's a little worse for wear.
Was hauling a boxcar behind it there.
3 years before the Poughkeepsie Bridge fire, Great Court Station is gone. L&HR train is out of Maybrook, and the hall is coming out of Newburgh to drop off cars for an ordinary called the Patterson Gang.
Eric says it's controlled burn by Chester Fire Department.
Ah, okay, thank you. No mystery. Now, thank you to Alex for this one. Reading 2102 disguises D&H 484 for the D&H's 150th anniversary. It was stored for the winter of 70-73 at the O&WRHS yards. And this photo is en route to Warwick. Marty Fellner did the captions for this. Now we're down in Newburgh, July 23rd, 1864. New York and Erie engine on the first station, Newburgh, at Further Western Avenue, Broadway. His grandfather, William Kenny, is a fireman in the gangway with a black beard. And if you can't quite make him out, that's a close-up. Now, I'm going to pause I'm going to tell you a real quick Dennis Carpenter story. The grade coming out of Newburgh, there was a derailer put on each track on both east and west mains for any errant cars coming down the grade. And you had to set and reset that derail every time it came through. One engineer taking the engineer back to Rouse the winter thought he could just jump off, fix the derail, and jump back on. It got away from him. Now cue the Max Senate music. Because the roundhouse foreman saw the engine go by, sees an engineer running after it. They get in his car, they chase it almost to Vale's gate for the engine, runs out of steam, rolls down the bank, hits the derailer, and guess what? Well, the next day, to add insult to injury, the wreck crew loses a tender over the bank, and the second time that might have something to do with the fact it was a hot day and was towards the end of Prohibition, but that's off the record. Now, West Shores, area West Shores, 18 at Union Station. The walkway goes over to the West Shore Station that's there now, but was then under construction. The original turntable Legend House were in this area, relocated when the West Shore came through. View on Front Street. If you look closely, there's a shade of lighter bricks there. That's from when the wall lost an argument with a passenger car. And bad morning commute. Read our Newburgh Arcadia book. One of Bailey's view of the Freight House. I think this burned, and I remember it burned. I think it was 79. I remember the newspaper article. The opposite side, and it has to be a son of Aaron who stood on a bucket to get his photo taken. The Alphabet Soup Railroad. Before the open Poughkeepsie Bridge, freight cars on the branch were carried across the Hudson by the Erie's car float service, which lasted until 1906. The railroad bridge and system that became the New Haven went through a baker's dozen of railroads. They were merged, bankrupt before a railroad ever laid. One of the most famous of the Fishkill Newburgh ferries was the William Hart, named for President of New York and New England. The Hart was just under 300 feet long, side-wheel driven. She carried a crew of 24 and could carry 27 cars at a time. As I understand the story, she was built down in the city, but the smokestacks were too tall for some of the bridges in the city at the time. And there's the twins, William T. Hart and Newburgh. Twins and the crew stand on opposite ends of the bench. We don't have names for them as far as I know. The Pennsylvania coal piers, now the site of Steel Style. Erie began shipping coal to the Penn coal piers in Newburgh in 1864. The piers remained in service of the First World War when the coal was shipped from modern facilities in New Jersey. The Newburgh piers are never open. Now the site is owned by Steel Style. The Plotkin family, owner of Steel Style, bought the Newburgh branch road, but after the line was abandoned, finally turned for rail trail in 2021. I think that's the right date. April 36th, the last Newburgh branch Erie passenger train. Engineer Philip Kester, Fireman McGuire, conductor G.D. Schaefer.
It's an Atlantic class. It's an Atlantic class.
Yeah, that's what did the last. They couldn't run too heavy a steam engine on the branch because weight restrictions on the Renwick Street Bridge. So Atlantic's usually did the service. Freight House in the background and the last passenger train over the Newburgh branches. Mrs. B.F. Ludwig and Mrs. R. Kellum on platform back of photo. This is my collection. Now this is from Doug. March 31st, 76. Conrail has taken over the first order of business. They closed the EL's Newburgh Freight House. Some damn autocorrect, somebody actually typed 66. Spur and Vale's Gate. One of the transfer cabooses. First run was built in 66 by the New York Central Dispatch Shops. to replace their aging fleet of wooden cabooses. This one apparently made the last trip on the Catskill Mountain Railroad in 76. It's 8073 over the West Shore Tunnel. 8073 later became Norfolk Southern's 5279. Yeah. There's the plaque on the West Shore Tunnel. Now that's now been daylighted. The fate of the plaque seems to be unknown. Bob Tampson's photo. The new trestle on the spur is complete and the tunnel's about to be removed. How we got this picture, I don't want to know. Down to the tunnel lining. Pipe was a 42-inch sewer line that had to be resupported. There's the finished trestle. Design, I actually have some of the working drawings sitting over. Everybody wants to look at them. This was designed by Norton A. Christ, author of books such as Erie Memories and, of course, The Final Years. Ed was also on the 4th of July who put a row of torpedoes on the rail in Monroe. For anybody didn't know Ed, he was quite the character. He'll do this stint on this around 83 operating this, a 25-ton Wickham built in 43 for the U.S. Navy, purchased by Steel Styles in Newburgh in the late 70s. Chain-driven rear axle, straight air brakes. At the time, the yard was flush with work, and Ed said he could get up to 30 cars moving. Stopping was another matter. And this is from Dave Lewis's collection.
Like a bicentennial scheme, right?
Yep. Newburgh, 435 and 430 nail colors. 435 had derailed.
By that time, was the drill based out of Middletown? Would that have been a Middletown based?
The drill, it switched over to the drill around 71. I actually have that in a little while. This is Dennis Soul's wreck train on Renwick Street. A car derailed at the Armour plant. We can just make that letter and paint on the bridge as Erie Railroad, New York, Chicago. Now, apparently, this is also on the bridge out at Port Jervis. And there's a watchman shack on the West Shore tracks. No crossing flashers yet on the West Shore. March 17, a boom lift became stuck on the tracks and it wasn't a good day. How would you like to be the guy in the office on the right and see that coming across the street? I think I'd just go home. Now, the New Windsor, the coal shed, and the flag stop accommodations off the Walsh Avenue Bridge. Glenn Marshall, the Windsor historian's photo. Here's Dennis's view to 439 and Erie Green, Walsh Avenue. Chimney was a Newburgh bleacher. That's now apartments. A nice picture of a nice caddy below. Heights Lumber, now the site of the Erie's Roundhouse and Yard. That's today. New Windsor's 9-stall roundhouse later located near 32 and removed around 1936. The pushers on the Oxford grade on the main line and the Newburgh yards, which are called its home base. New Windsor Station, Union Ave, off of Union Ave, retiring 46. There's a local coming up to do its weekly run. I'll explain that more in a little while. New Windsor Station in sight in 63 the rail fan trip. The rails across Union went to a 2-car coal trestle. A second Newburgh branch opens in 1869 and the two join the Vales Gate. With a more direct route and above the Greygore line, it was always called the Erie Shortcut until its closing in 36. I'll cover the full shortcut in a future story, but we crossed it several times tonight. Now, Bailey's Road's a Vales Gate station. In the 20s, the switch tender had a bad leg, so it used a bicycle to tend the switches. And you see that switch swinging left, that's the shortcut track. Up until 61, 2 miles of their shortcut from Vales Gate to West Cornwall still open to serve Cornwall coal supply. No sooner had the spur been abandoned than GAF, later Target Manufacturing, opened the Vales Gate. So a mile-long spur was laid back on the old shortcut road bed across 94. The spur today, Target closed in 208, leaving the track on this side of 32 dormant. I'm standing on the Newburgh, and asterisk is the Newburgh branch right away. Same area in 66, relaying the spur. The gondolas were on the Newburgh branch. If you could just make out in the background the bridge over the thruway, which has since been filled in. 1976, milepost 57 behind the plant, last marker in place on the shortcut. So this is February 76. Conrail takes over in another 2 months.
So the shortcut had milepost to Jersey City, but
Mhm.
the main line or
Yeah.
the Newburgh branch had milepost
Oh,
to
gee.
Daysport. Yeah.
Go figure. I don't know I'm not sure what was up with that, how they figured that one. Mhm. Mhm. And there's Conrail colors and Conrail colors. See, Conrail 47 was built in 1978. Again, Conrail seems to use the Newburgh branch for breaking in new engines. It makes sense with that grade. Another one of the transfer cabooses, now in Conrail blue colors. I'll go back to be looking at that. 1966, a paper mill in Salisbury Mills that was once produced 24,000 pounds of paper a day closes. In 73, the DuPont plant, later Stafford Chemicals in Newburgh closes. Take a third of remaining branch business with it. As business decline, the haul out of Newburgh is replaced by the drill out of Middletown. That picture is Salisbury Mills, and you can see that's like 71. You can see how fast business went downhill. 1231 at Route 94, Russ Halleck. 1231, you can find pictures. Also do work train 1671, the hay shaker. Roxton, the west end of Passaic-Ville, and I understand this was the only freight that had a scheduled freight on the branches. The DuPont Fabricoid plant, 1900 to 73. Fabricoid was only for imitation leather. The Erie spur opened just before the First World War. Carson, you can see Carson, Erie on the right. Left trolley cars in the Orange County Traction Company left. It's car barns towards the bottom. Wish Ray was here. The trolleys went out in 23. The Erie spur come was a major nail in the trolley lines coffin because they took a lot of business away from when it came in. The city actually paid to put that spur in because DuPont was threatening to move if they didn't get better service. Now, Newburgh, Mexican restaurant and bar and Planet Wings. Slight beginning of a good Friday night, but it's actually a site of our next photo. Notice the asterisk and the houses on Whistler Avenue. There's our 93 RS 391 retired out 277 with a Jordan spreader. The coal silos off Whistler Avenue, and you can just make out there was a D&A Hutchin Coal logo up on the end of one of the coal towers. Now, today the Kingston local serves the only customer on the spur, Ray's Transportation, the scrapyard in New Windsor. The crew comes as far as the switch by 300 do the run round for the trip back to Kingston. 8400 Spirit. This engine is legend. 8400 Spirit of Roby. 8400 ex-Western Maryland 7449. From engineer Brian Kingman told me, Roby is a Philly supervisor, former 84 engineer operator. Everybody, the rail crews absolutely loved this engine when they operated. And there's 744 Helmsetter's Curve in July 71, still under its original colors. All local to its Friday run to Haverstraw. Now, there is a group of us that hang out down the river, me, Howard, Ken, a bunch of guys, just getting train pictures, just shooting the breeze, any summer day, we're just hanging out. Well, one day, the ladies from the kayak club dropped out of sweats about 10 feet away. The Mountaineer could have gone by, I guarantee you nobody would have noticed it. Ray Switcher engine, former Washington Transit Authority locomotive. The lower camp was for subway tunnels. Switching at Ray's. And on this run, the 8400 picked up 5234 for some reason. We're sitting idle on the branch. The only time how often you see a doubleheader on the Newburgh Spur. 2020 and 1970, crossing over 32, we're heading home. Now there's along Union Avenue. The branch and the O&W Historical Society. Hold the applause. Erie, 1882 Summer Homes Guide on the left and below. New York Evening Post, June 1st, 1901, ice copied from the mountains by rail. Doctors and railroad both advertising the healing properties of the mountains north of the city with fresh mountain air and clean run streams, as opposed to Grand Central Station prior electrification. Manhattan was not a fit area to live, and no, we're not going to go there. Now, author Nathaniel Parker Willis. On his doctor advice, Willis moved to Cornwall. He suffered from epilepsy. They told him, come to the fresh air in Cornwall. He is correct with the names Storm King Mountain and Moon Creek. Moon is a Dutch form of the word moonars or murderers. The original name Murderers Creek goes back to the legend of the massacre of family settlers near the mouth of the creek. Now, on the west shore below Storm King today, the area below once had a quarry, then the 30s, a camp of the CCC. There below Walter's picture below Storm King then. Post office photo, AKA Ray's 2011 pre-convention tour, O&WRHS Mills. Now, 2011, and we're looking down from the top of Long 32, the abutment alongside 32 O&WRHS Mill Road for the O&W's O&WRHS Mill Trust, which spanned Moon Creek. This was scrapped in 1962. O&WRHS Mill Station in 32. The abutment on the right now has a house being built on top of it. Now there's the Fir Cliff abutment today and the O&WRHS Mill Station. O&WRHS Mills coal shed taken during double track in 1910, O&W side. It stood. I remember that coal shed standing in the early 70s. What was left of it, I should say. Sign from the O&WRHS Mills coal shed site, one of Walter's gems. Men, you must not pass over this trestle. 802 come up the O&WRHS Mills trestle. And I believe somebody in this room has a number board off that station, off that engine now. 802 come north, probably one of the last trains to Cornwall. Judging by that guy leaning on the engine, don't seem to be any kind of hurry. Now, my 96 cab shot in the same area taken to an extension of passing track. The tower area would have been by that far curve. How did I get in the cab? I told the guy we're doing news story. Okay, come on in. Now, we're past Vales Gate. The O&W and Newburgh branches pass through this area. Then later comes the New York State Thruway up the center. The O&W Bridge over the Erie shortcut, which the New York State Thruway Bridge, which they still have not removed, it still stands today. And there's Meadowbrook in 64. Now, 2024 Meadowbrook, and we'll look at the site of the O&W's 94 Bridge. Meadowbrook Lodge is to the left behind us. Ray and his El Camino are doing the honors for this next, or posing for this next photo. Ray on the right, the car on the left. Same spotting in 36, the car on the left, the man on the right. The O&W's Meadowbrook Station during the construction of bridge from Route 45. Now, Bridge 13, 2010 convention tour. Brook and the O&W are passed under Newburgh branch, O&W Bridge number 9. The abutments were built for double track because there were plans at the time still to double track the whole Newburgh branch. But the double iron never got past Vales Gate. All passing over the O&W Bridge. The only picture we know of a train on this bridge. Before it was scrapped in 83, 84, a group of rail fans rolled a rail car to Enterprise, the Newburgh branch and other abandoned rail lines, according to photos and film. Among the group are O&W Society members Russ, Joyce, Howard Green, Lou Baselli, and Washington star Edward E.J. McLaughlin. The car was an Erie Fairmont motor car from around 1951. An attempt to save the branch of tourist line, they tried, it just never, was not to be. Now there's a second trip, 82. It remains still intact. Russ Hallett, Ken Green, and Warp O'Shea of the Newburgh Evening News. 1982, 2 more years and almost all this will be gone. By a third pole as a bridge on the Newburgh branch. The service, this branch hasn't been cut yet. Gray Coat Wine, the track on the right was a passer sign known as Mud Switch. One of the last trains over the branch. Blowing Grove and Farmingdale Road. Tin Bridge, Washington. The original wooden bridge was clad in tin for fireproof, and that's how it gained the nickname. And there's Conrail in Conrail colors. Washington, Lou Baselli at the switch. The third Moon of Bridge in September of 73. I kind of colored it up a little bit for effect. The second Moon of Bridge behind Wheeler's ice cream stand. Milepost to the right. Milepost G9 has been leaning like that for more years than I've been around. It ain't going anywhere. The Ores Mills Crossing is 63 rail fan trip. The cars are the train. I think that's a caddy on the left. The first Moon of Bridge, 82, and the 1963 rail trip. Halleck or Carpenter, they're both taking photos together. Postcard view, it's still called the Otterkill Bridge, milepost 948. It was painted right in the bridge. It's hard to tell if that's still, you could still make that out or not after all these years. Salisbury Mill Station by the Clove Road Crossing. And there's Russ and me is looking a little cold in that picture. This is 82. 1970, probably the last picture of the Salisbury Mill Station is a burned out husk by this point. Clove Road and Sawmill Post Office Building, 2022 and 71. So milepost 10 Salt Mills in 84. The rails in Vales Gate at this point, 4 miles away, are already gone. I remember that distinctly. By Thanksgiving, the rails were already cut as far as Vales Gate up, as far as Meadowbrook. Odds and ends. Salisbury Mill. Now there's 439 at Ores Mills Road on the branch. Engine 9015 X439 in Merriam Junction in October of 1980. Conrail archive photo. Washout Salisbury Mills. My best guess on this is an answer site promotion. The cold shit on the right. Famous picture of him sitting on one of the Panama Canal. Steam cranes in a white jacket. So this guy might be trying. I think he started a fad. The coal shit on the right. I can't pin down exactly which store, but there was a lady. She was a daughter of the section foreman on the branch. And when the haul would come through, she'd keep the store open at night to give the crew coffee or ice cream, depending on the weather. And that's it. Sign in front of the shed. Crossman flagman on duty, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Coal shed ramp with the last carload of coal used in 65. This the parking lot today. You can still make out traces of the stone in the ground. CNJ 1520, 1976, later became Conrail's 5676. Now, try this in 208-94 traffic. Now, there's the Moffett Library in the background. When the Grand Line was being built, a steam crane was switched off at Washerville and rolled out today's Twin Arch Road by dropping a short piece of track along the road. I said, try that in 208 traffic today. Now, my bad joke on that. Would you call this a crummy shot? Undated Halleck photo. I'll move on. There's the Washville stock pen. Bailey photo. 1964, the third Moon of Bridge in the distance. I'm going to debate. I'm making that truck, guys. Anybody feel free to chime in. There's 1,000 opinions on it. I can't get up crop up acre, it blurs it out. Now, a 54, Doug and I were chatting about this picture. Classic John Stellwagen photo. And if you want to take it a step further, October 12th, 59, FT's on the branch. We don't know if this was a detour or what was going on. Doug's collection. Okay, the three horsemen of the three horsemen here. EL, Conrail, and Penn Central in 1976-77. Route 94, 1977-1981. Slate cut between Farmingdale Road and 94. The other side is Clark's Cut, named for two ladies who knit scarves, lived by and knit scattered for the train crew. Cut now, remember, this was cut back in the days of black powder. Now we're closing Harrington Units and the Moon of Viaduct. 1920 to 30, Erie Berkshires arrived. Cheshire 1950 and the Moon of Viaduct in 41.
You're doing fine.
Maybe just to run that video after. Okay. Early Lashup, no location given on this. A nice mix at Youngtown, Chris Kraus collection. May 24, the New Jersey Transit Erie's Heritage Units on the Graham Line. Painted units were celebrating New Jersey Transit's 40th anniversary. There's 409 in Central Valley in 2021. The same area in 2016, a double stacker on the Graham Line. This is the time of that wreck at Hoboken Station. The 3,200-foot long, 193.5 Moon of Viaduct opens in January 1909. Today, it's the longest active railroad trestle east of the Mississippi. There's Tri-Coal Trestle Hill, March 2023. There's a Schunnemunk dairy farm in that house burned in 77. Company and Moon Company, Part 1 of 71st Regiment, Guarding the Moon of Viaduct of World War I, Moffett Library Collection. Looking down from the viaduct in 76, Russell Halleck photo. Bob Hanson's capsule, pre-Metro North upgrade. Now you see that wooden walkway? I have good friends with questionable sanity who have driven a dirt bike and VW across this. In August of 2024, the Erie unit takes a 7 o'clock train across the viaduct. The next night, the Central New Jersey did the 7 o'clock train. September 24, couple of my sunset photos. CL excursion in 1998. And our favorite conductor, Walt. Apparently, Walt made all 21 trips, right? The 2015 convention tour. George Clooney and Michael Clayton. Now, Al and I have one more after this video presentation. Al and I have one more thing before we break for the night. Merry Christmas, everyone. Now, Al has one. We have one more thing to run for you before the night's over.
What am I looking up? Yeah. What am I looking up? What's it called? What's it called? What's it called?
Oh, Railroad Town, Milltown, New York. It should come up. Middletown, New York. It should come up with the money name. There it is. We got last week for the night. We can get it.
A second. All right.
If anyone made a few years back. Sound for the work, Kevin?
Let me turn on the sound. There you go. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining tonight. Have a happy holiday. Happy New Year. Yes. So long.
Good show, bud. Good show. Excellent. Thank you.